This is Ghalib, and you're watching me live on the Rational Messiah and Ghalib Kamal, which is the Urdu channel. But this debate is going to be primarily in English because we have a Malaysian participant and he cannot speak Hindi or Urdu. So this is going to be in English. So this is going to be a debate between the Muslim Apologist. He has a YouTube channel. I have given the link to this YouTube channel in the description of this video. You can go and have a look at his channel. And then we have our Bitter Truth, who is going to debate with him on the topic: is Quran the book of Allah or the book of Muhammad? So this is going to be the topic, and the Muslim apologist is going to try to prove that Quran is a book of Allah, not Muhammad, and Bitter Truth is going to prove that uh, Quran is a book of Muhammad, not it's not from a divine creator or Allah. So I'd like to welcome both of you guys here, and I'm really glad to host this, and hopefully both of you are going to be really civil. And I also request the audience to be very respectful towards the participants, because we debate on ideas. We don't want to insult any one of our participants. Both of them are extremely respectful for us. We respect them as human beings, and we want to learn something from them today. So how this debate is going to go is, first Bitter Truth is going to give his arguments against the motion in 12 minutes, and then the Muslim apologist is going to get his chance to respond to him in 12 minutes. Then we are going to have 3 minutes each, a total of 14 rebuttal sessions. And after that, we are going to take questions from you guys. You guys can send your questions through super chats, or you can also send your questions through just normal chats as well. So keep the questions very precise and brief and clear, that when the question answer session comes, we would be able to get those. So the best thing would be to write down your questions and put them in the chat when we start the question answer session. After that, we are going to have two closing remarks from both the participants, and the debate is going to be over in a little over 2 hours. This is how it's going to happen. So I welcome both of you, and we can start right away. Should we go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. Bitter Truth, would you like to start now?
Yes. If you please share my screen so I can
Okay.
start.
Here is your screen, and I am going to start your timer. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Wait,
So,
wait, just wait. Let me correct one mistake here. I think there's a slight mistake on my end. Why is the virtual camera not? Wait, let me reconnect. I'm going to start your
sure.
timer. Okay, so I think now we should be okay. Yeah, now we are okay. Now the timer is showing. Okay, so Bitter Truth, your 12 minutes are starting now. Hello, Bitter Truth. Hello, Bitter Truth, are you there? Hello, Bitter Truth. You are on mute, Bitter Truth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start your timer now. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So, today topic is first. I would like to thank you to Ghalib Bhai, who give me another opportunity on his platform to debate with brother the Muslim, and I would also thank to brother Muslim who accepted my challenge. So today topic is Quran book of God or book of Muhammad? Um, I'm gonna start reading so quickly, and then uh, I wanna be seeing that how my brother is going to respond me. So let's start. The chapter 16, verse 79. Have they never noticed the birds how they held under the control in the middle of the sky, where none hold them from falling except Allah? Surely there is a science um, in this for those who believes. Chapter 72, verse 8 to 10. The jinns stealing information from the skies before the messenger and striking them with flaming fire after his coming. And also there is Tafsir ibn Kathir, he talks more about that what happened when the meteors come from the sky, and why the meteors are coming and then striking to the jinns. This is what the Quran says. So I would like to know these. And he has created the skies without the pillar, that you may see, and placed mountains on the earth. So it sounds like God, he created skies without the pillar. So I would like to know, is the sky is an object or what? And then place the mountain. So the place the mountain means you take something by your hand and put it onto the floor. So this is how the God says that he placed the mountain onto the earth. So I want to know how the God he placed the mountain. um, then chapter 22 verse 65. Do you not see that Allah has subjected to you whatever is on the earth, and the ships which runs through the sea by his command? So it's again telling me the God, the ships are running by his command. If the God doesn't give the command, that ship won't be able to run through the sea. And he restrained sky from the falling, so the sky can fall, but the God is restraining sky from falling. So that's those are the questions Muslim apologist needs to reply. Then chapter 35, 41 words. Surely Allah holds the heaven and the earth. So the earth holded by the God, and they should be displaced. Therefore, if they were displaced, none would be able to hold them after him. So it's telling me the God is holding the earth, and the earth cannot displace because the God is holding. If the God doesn't hold, or just leave it like that, then it can be displaced and nobody else can place it on the place. So I would like to know, is this really a true? And then, and he needs to prove these all things uh, to to so I can better understand uh, if this is really happening. Then God, he swear of a lot of things. He swear the time. He swear by Lord, by Allah. There are many verses. Chapter 19, 68, 1031, 36 1, 38 2. And even he swear of fig. He swear of uh, you know um, a horse. He swear of plants. He swear of a lot, a moon, sun. So why the God he needs to swear a lot of things? It's like the human, he just swear of something. So I would like to know why the God he needs to swear like a human. And then, O prophet, chapter 66, 1. O prophet, why do you prohibit yourself from what Allah has mentioned, Allah has made lawful to you, seeking to please your wives? And Allah is forgiving, most merciful. So the Muhammad, he was pleasing his wife, to forbidding himself from something. I would like to know what was that thing. And the God, he says, no, it is absolutely halal for you. And 66:30, 66:3. Remember when the prophet had once confined, uh, confided something to one of his wives, then when she disclosed it to another wife, and Allah made it known to him, he presented to her a part of what was disclosed, and overlooked a part. So when he informed her of it, she exclaimed, "Who told you this?" He replied, "I was informed by the Allah, knowing, all knowing, all aware." So it's like Muhammad, he says something to his wife, and then his wife discloses it to the others, and then Muhammad, when he realized that she discloses, then he says, "This is the Allah, he informed me, I want to know that." And chapter 66, 4, it will be better you if your wife both turn to Allah, is repented, for your heart have certainly flattered, but if continue to collaborate against him, then known that Allah himself is his guardian, and the journal, Gabriel, and a righteous believer. Chapter 66, 5, if he were divorce you, all his lord would replace you with better wives who are submissive to Allah. So why the God he needs to warn his wife, hey, he's gonna divorce you, and I'm gonna give him a better wife? So I would like to know this all. So then the last is, let me just pull up. Where is that? There you go. So, chapter 33, verse 50. O prophet, verily, we have made lawful to your wives, to you and to your wives, to whom you have paid their dues, dowry, and those, I mean, those slaves whom right on your right hand possess, whom Allah has given to you, and the daughter of your paternal uncle, and the daughter of paternal aunt, and the daughter of your maternal uncle, and the daughter of your maternal aunt, on who migrate with you, and believing, some believing woman, if she offers herself to the prophet. So if any woman offer to the prophet, and prophet wishes to marry her, a privilege for you only, not for the rest of the believer. Indeed, we know that we have enjoined upon them. So what exactly the Allah is telling him? He's giving him authority to marry his his cousins, his relatives, and any woman she wants to marry with Muhammad, and she is giving herself without even their parents. The Muhammad will be marrying that, and also, I mean, this is completely. I would like to know how this the Muhammad been asked by the God, and the God keeps fulfilling his sexual desire. And I would like to know by Muslim apologists that the Quran is talking about science, Quran is talking about Muhammad personal life, Muhammad slaves, and this is really the worst thing. I was reading on your right hand, possess on your right hand, the God is giving him the slaves. So I need those all replies, whatever Muslim apologists can give me a proper answer, um, including science and the personal life about the Muhammad, and God is authorizing him to have a sex with anyone, and Muhammad is not a father of the nation, but he is a prophet. There is another verse is telling me that Muhammad can marry with any girl, and that's what he did. So kindly, if you please reply each of my question manually. um, I would be glad to hear, and I would like to understand that. So I hopefully complete my time, complete my presentation before the time. So Ghalib Bhai, you can go ahead and get the reply from Muslim apologists,
Okay,
and then we
okay.
go from there. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Muslim apologist. So sorry, bitter truth. So we will close his screen share now. Muslim apologist, would you like to start now?
Sure. Once you start the timer, I'll read my script,
Okay.
my opening
Okay.
statement.
So can you share your screen? If you want to share your screen, you can share it
No, no,
now.
no,
Then I will start the timer.
no, it's not necessary. I'm just going to read my
Okay.
script, right?
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
the screen is yours now. The screen is
All right,
yours now.
all right. So, assalamu ala manit taba al huda. Thank you everyone for inviting me to this platform. So, I begin this opening statement with all absolute praise to the one true God of Abraham and his last messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'd. So the topic for today's debate is to answer the question: is the Quran the book of God or Allah or the book of Muhammad? As we delve into this topic, it is essential to first understand what the Quran is and the significance it holds for 1.6 billion Muslims worldwide. As we all know, the Quran is the central religious text of Islam and is believed by Muslims to be the word of God as revealed to the Prophet Muhammad over 1,400 years ago. Now, this belief is based on the concept of Tawheed or the oneness of God, which forms the cornerstone of Islamic theology. But the question that we are here today to answer today is whether the Quran is truly the word of God. While some may argue that the Quran is merely a work of human origin, I firmly believe that it is indeed the book of God. My reasons for this belief are based on several factors which I will elaborate on during the course of this debate. Now, let us consider the historical context of the Quran. The Quran was revealed to the Prophet in the early 7th century, at a time when Arabia was a land of many tribes and religions. The Arabs were primarily polytheistic, and the concept of monotheism was not widely accepted. The Quran challenged the traditional beliefs of the Arabs and presented a new way of life that centered on the worship of the one true God. The fact that the Quran was able to unite the Arabs under a single faith and create a powerful civilization is testament to its divine origin. The Quranic message is consistent with the teachings of earlier prophets and messengers, such as Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, peace be upon all of them. It affirms the oneness of God, the importance of justice and compassion, and the reality of the afterlife. These teachings are not the product of Muhammad's personal beliefs or cultural context, but rather a reflection of God's eternal wisdom and guidance. The Quran's unparalleled linguistic and literary excellence is also testament to its divine origin. The Arabic language is renowned for its complexity and sophistication, and the Quran's mastery of this language is nothing short of miraculous. The eloquence and beauty of its verses have moved countless people throughout history and continues to do so to this day. The Quranic literary style, which employs intricate patterns and rhythms, is so profound that it defies human explanation. Furthermore, the Quran also contains numerous scientific and historical facts that were not known at the time of its revelation. For example, the Quran describes the stages of embryo development, the water cycle, the Big Bang theory, the expansion of the universe, the movement of the sun and the moon, the distinction between the rulers of Egypt during Joseph's and Moses' time periods, and all of this were only later discovered by modern science and historical evidence. These information are not the result of guesswork or conjecture, but rather an indication of the Quran's divine knowledge. The Quranic moral and ethical teachings are also a reflection of its divine origin. The Quran emphasizes the importance of justice, compassion, and kindness, and promotes virtues such as honesty, humility, and forgiveness. These teachings are not the product of human invention, but rather an expression of God's wisdom and guidance. In addition, the Quran has remained unchanged since its revelation, despite numerous attempts to alter its contents. This is a remarkable feat, considering that the Quran was revealed at a time when writing was not widely used and the primary means of transmitting knowledge was through oral tradition. The fact that the Quran has remained unchanged for over 1,400 years is a strong indication of its divine origin. This miraculous nature is attested to by countless individuals throughout history, including non-Muslims who have been moved by its message and beauty. In contrast, those who argue that the Quran is the book of Muhammad overlook the fact that Muhammad himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was illiterate and could not have produced such a magnificent work. They also ignore the fact that the Quranic teachings are relevant and applicable to all times and places, and not just the cultural and historical context of 7th century Arabia. So, in conclusion, the Quran is a book that has had a profound impact on the lives of 1.6 billion people worldwide. It is a source of guidance and inspiration. Its teachings continue to shape the lives of Muslims to this day. While there may be questions and doubts about its divine origin, the historical context in which it was revealed, its scientific and historical accuracy, and its preservation over the centuries all point towards the Quran being the word of God. And as we move forward in this debate, I look forward to hearing the arguments from my opponent and engaging in a constructive dialogue on this topic. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you're also done early. So,
Yeah.
so what we will do now is we are going to get the first rebuttal from Bitter Truth. And Bitter Truth, should I start the timer now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
S- Is my time starting?
Okay,
Okay.
your
Can
time
you?
is starting now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my opponent didn't give me any answer what I raised the questions, but he talks about there is a scientific, science in Quran, and he brings up embryology, and he brings up Big Bang, and he brings up some other thing. I would be glad if he can just prove it through the medical science, the embryology, or if he can prove the Big Bang, where the Bang is written in Quran, and if it is really compatible, I definitely will be taking this off. As far as my knowledge, and as far as I read the Quran, it's completely talking about Aristotle embryology, and the Big Bang is also completely like just talking about the sky and earth joined together and God separated them. That's not a Big Bang. That's just a ancient myth, and this cannot be take as evidence until or unless you go and submit to the scientific community and they can prove it, or if you just prove it through the what the Big Bang theory is and what you are talking about, and if they both are matching together, then yes, I will be taking that. And also the similar thing with the Quranic other verses. But let me just take you back where I started, so then you can just again give me a proper answer about that. That when I talk about chapter 16, 17, 9, that the God is holding the birds, so it sounds like if I fly, then the God is holding my plane, and we it doesn't make any sense that I take it as a scientific claim. This is completely false, and this is like ancient myth. When the man he is thinking in this way, so he put it onto the Quran. It doesn't look like it is from the God. If this is really from the God, then this is a false God. I I really I'm completely disappointed. Many Muslim apologists come and try to debate on Quran, and Quran is a scientific claim, but they were unable to prove it. They just bring up the ancient myth, and they just trying to prove the Quran with the
30
help of like.
seconds.
So that's all. I'm just giving because I haven't get any response from my presentation, so that's why I'm just giving back to him, the my brother, a Muslim apologist. If he can give me replies what I raised the questions, and if he want to stick with the embryology, then or any other, then we can go further and talk about that. Thank you.
Okay, so now the Muslim apologist. Now your turn is starting now. So
All right.
this is your 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Galeb, and thank you, Peter Toof. Okay. So anyway, yeah, the reason why I didn't address any of your points earlier, bit the truth, is because this there was just an opening statement, right? So I'm supposed to actually deal with it here. So from your opening statement, what I can surmise is that you question certain verses which are not not meant to be scientific. Okay, I need to clarify that when I say the Quran is congruent with science, I am in no way saying that the Quran is a book of science. Okay, SCIENCE. Okay, it is a book of science. SIGNS. So that means even though it is not a book of science, there should be, and since we Muslims believe that the Quran has divine origins, it should not contradict science. SCIENCE, right? So at the same time, you have to understand that yeah, the Quran is not meant to be scientific. So therefore, there will be imagery, there will be rhetoric, there will be descriptions of the universe or of the surroundings, our environment, which doesn't seem scientific at all. But that is the nature of the Quran, because the Quran was revealed in Arabic, and Arabic is a poetical language. Okay, it's poetry. Okay, like for example, sky without pillars. Yeah, and God restraining the sky. These are all observations. We can see this. Yeah, we can see the sky without pillars, right? Okay, it is without pillars, but it's not meant to be a scientific statement any more than saying that the sun sets. Okay, we know that the sun doesn't set. Okay, but we still say sun set because this is a figure of speech. Okay, this is a metaphor. Okay, and with regards to certain events, like for example the jinn, right? Yeah, I know, I'm aware of that verse. I think in Surah An-Najm, where the jinn being thrown, with rockets from the sky. Okay, um, I don't think that is supposed to be scientific either. I believe that that is metaphysical. We can't actually see jinn, right? It's not something which is scientifically possible for us to see jinn. Okay, we don't have the tools or scientific means to identify jinn. Okay, okay. As a Muslim, I believe that jinn exists. Okay, you may not believe it, but just because you don't see a jinn doesn't mean that the jinn doesn't exist. Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay, so yeah. So anyway, the issue of oaths, this is Arabic balaga. Okay, and about Surah At-Tahrim, regarding Surah At-Tahrim verse 66 1 to 4. I think that I will leave it for the next round. All right. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we will give 3 minutes to Bitter Truth for the rebuttal. Bitter Truth, you there? You can
Yeah, I'm
start
here.
now. Okay.
Okay, so again, he says the Quran is book of science. Well, the Quran is claiming that the sun sets underneath of Allah's throne. It's a hadith, and then asking permission to rise. And also, there is a Quranic verses. It talks about the sun, the day, you know. Revolve day by the sun, and and the night by the moon. This is completely explicitly is telling me that the sun is revolving around the earth. Even the scholars, Saudi scholars, they accept that. And you talk about the sky without the pillar, and we can see there is no pillar. Yes, because sky is a mixture of gases. Gases don't need pillar. So this is completely false claim, and it's unscientific that sky can have a pillar but the guard restraining it to fall. So this is another scientific error, and this is like a Muhammad, how he think and how he's taking it, just putting that into the Quran. And then on that time, the ancient time, the people, they think, oh yeah, sky can fall, and that and the god is restraining from falling. And that's the reason Muhammad, he put it into the similar way. And the hadith itself is talking about the sun is revolving around the earth. And even the hadith is talking about the sun goes and prostrate underneath of Allah's throne, and then asking permission to rise. And when Allah grant him the permission, then it rise back again. And but one day it will not be getting permission from the god, and then it will be asking to rise, but it will be rising up from opposite direction. So this is explicitly in hadith and quran is telling about, yeah, the sunset and sunrise, and that's how the even the Saudi scholars are supporting in that. So there is a lot of scientific claims in Quran which is completely wrong. Even the embryology is wrong, and you can say the metaphor, the whole Quran is metaphor. Then this is not a book of science. A book of no, this is not a book
30
of
seconds.
this is not a book of God, but this is book of Muhammad. How he think he put it into the Quran, and you can take it as a metaphor, and then there is nothing real. So then why would I need to believe in that type of thing? So my time is over. I'm giving
Thank you, Bitter
time
Truth.
for my
Now
next.
we will go with the Muslim apologist here. And Muslim apologist, your timer is starting now.
All right, thank you again, Galip. Okay, so yeah, bitter truth. I think you were saying about you're questioning about the metaphorical or the some of them even metaphysical nature of the Quran and the Hadith. I'm not sure whether you are able to distinguish the difference between the Quran and the Hadith, because in the Quran we don't have the narrations of the son going under or was thrown and prostrating before God. Okay, these are all in the Hadiths. Okay, so the nature of the Hadith is such that, again, this is metaphysical. Okay, this is not something you can measure by scientific evidence or by scientific tools. It's not meant to be uh, done so. Okay, there are many narrations in the Hadith which are metaphysical. Okay, in fact, in the Quran, we actually see explicitly the Quran saying that the sun and the moon, are in their orbit. Okay, I don't recall the verses, but you can actually look it up. Okay, they are in their orbit. It's clear that the sun and the moon runs in their orbit. Okay, and I actually mentioned this in my debate against Apostate Prophet. Okay, so we have to be a bit intelligent and distinguish the difference between scientific statements made by the Quran and metaphorical or metaphysical statements made by the Quran or by the Hadith. So there are also verses in the Quran which says that, yeah, Zulkarnain, the very very famous verse 1886, where it tells the story of Zulkarnain going to the westernmost part of the world and seeing the sun as though it is setting in the muddy spring. Okay, so the Quran is not saying that the sun literally enters a muddy spring. Okay, we have tafsir authors who actually say that this is just a view, okay, viewpoint from the viewpoint of Zulkarnain. Okay, the same way as we say the sun sets. Okay, because we know the sun does not literally set. Okay, this is just a figure of speech. It's the same thing for the Quran. Okay, and we cannot deny that the Quran is in Arabic, and Arabic is, again, a literary language. It's a poetical language. It uses metaphors, balaga. Okay, the term is balaga. So there has to be an understanding that the Quran is not meant to be a book of science. Okay, I have to stress this many many times. And those so-called difficulties that you
30
may see
seconds.
in the Quran, yeah, that you may see in the Quran, it can actually be resolved if you understand the history of Arabic and how the Quran uses balaga in its prose. Yeah. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we will go towards Bitter Truth. Bitter Truth, your time is starting now. Okay,
Thank you very much.
3 minutes for you.
I would like to know where the Quran says about the Big Bang, and if you please show me that it's a scientific fact, because the Quran use in your opening statement you talk about the Big Bang, so you never touch it. I'm just reminding you, if you please just show me that. The other thing, the God, he if the book of this Quran is a book of God, then the God should be abolished the slavery, but the God is maintaining the slavery system, and there is slaves. The historical, if you read the historian book like a Tabri or different, Jalalain, they talk about clearly that what happened with the Jew tribes. This Muhammad, he killed Jew tribes, adopted the money, and that's the time the verses was revealing, and the verses were descending by the God, and then the Muhammad, he was uh, ordering them to kill them and take their women the same day and rape them. This is horrific. I mean, this is not a God book. It looks like Muhammad, he wants to destroy the Jew people. They want to just kill them, and then their females, they would just want to hold even the children and then rape them. It's all in the historian books. If you say that the Quran is not a book of science, then why the God he claims those stupid science, which doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry to say that. To me, to accept as a rational that yeah, this is a God book, oh, God can do the mistakes, or this is just a metaphor. I cannot take that as a metaphor until unless you satisfy me and other Muslim apologists that yes, these all Quranic words is just a metaphor. The other thing, well, when you guys are when the Quran is, if the Quran is from the God is talking about the viruses, about the a good direction, a good things, uh, to to cover, like if we abolish the slavery, that's a good thing, we will be taking that. But Quran never said that the slavery system is abolished. So these all things. So I'm just giving the other time to my Muslim apologist brother, if he can show me the Big Bang, and if he can say, he can prove that this is not a book of Muhammad, but this is a book of God. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll give the turn to the Muslim apologist, and the timer starts now.
Okay, thank you again. Yeah. If I miss anything, I'm sorry. Right, just repeat again. Just repeat in the next round if I forget, if I miss out anything. Right, because I can't follow everything all the time. My mind works a bit slow. Okay. So anyway, to answer directly your question regarding which verse talks about the Big Bang. Okay. You can actually read this. Yeah, read. I have this. Yeah, it's in Surah. Uh, oh dear, wait. Yeah, it's in Surah. Wait, let me see. Oh dear, what happened to this? Yeah, it's in verse. Sorry, it's in Surah 42. Chapter 42, verse 5. And also this verse, unfortunately, there's no. I don't know why there's no reference here, but the verse says, the translation of the verse says, "Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together before we clove them asunder." So this is pretty much an indication of the Big Bang, as as we currently now know, okay, by scientific evidence today that we have. Okay, so going back to other issues, I think you were talking about slavery. I'm not sure how slavery is related to this topic, but since you want to ask me about it, yeah, I'm very much happy to oblige. So anyway, slavery. Okay, I don't see slavery as a moral or immoral issue. Okay, because slavery was an institution which was part of the society, part of the economic structure. So to dismantle it all at once would be very, very difficult, especially in 6th century Arabia. Okay, so what Islam has done is to actually dismantle it bit by bit. Okay, the Quran was set up in such a way by God, in such a manner that when a Muslim does a bad deed, he has to manumit his slaves. When a Muslim wants to do kifara, wants to he can't fast, or for example, or he can't do certain ibadah, certain acts of worship, he has to free his slaves. And Muslims are taught to treat their slaves well. Okay, and to always treat them with kindness and mercy. Okay, this is something which is absent, okay, in the the Western culture, the Western civilization. Okay, they treated their slaves very cruelly. Okay, and this is absent from Islam. Okay, compared to how Muslims in the past treated slaves. Okay, Muslims
Okay,
were way right. Okay,
yeah,
so
Muslim apologist, you have last 30 seconds. Actually, there was an error on my end.
oh, all right.
The timer got reset. Oh, so you have last 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Please
sorry,
continue.
I kind of,
Okay, no,
sorry, but
I'm
I
sorry.
kind of lost my train of thought just now. Okay, but anyway, I think I must have missed out something. But anyway, I'll just stop here. Sorry for
Okay, okay, then we will give the chance
then
to
we
Bitter
can
Truth.
discuss, right?
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Bitter Truth, it's your turn now. Yeah.
Thank you, Muslim apologists. But can you, Ghalib bhai, share my screen? I just wanna show him.
The verse that he was referring to is Surah Anbiya verse 30, I think. Yeah.
This is chapter 21 where he says, is this the one?
Surah Anbiya is chapter 21. Yeah.
Yeah, 21 verse 30.
21:30.
Yeah.
I can share it if you want.
Oh yeah, can you please? Because I couldn't
Yeah,
find
I
it.
can
Can,
share
and
it.
can you please
I will
reset
share
my
it.
time?
Okay.
Because
Okay. Wait. Wait. Yeah. Okay. If the Muslim apologist allows it, then I can reset your time.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'll reset it then.
okay,
Okay.
so this is what the Quran says. Do the believer not realize that heaven and the earth were once one mess, or joined together? We split apart. So this is completely false. Why? Because we know 14 billion years ago, when the singularity become a multi universe, on that time there was no earth existent. Earth wasn't exist till 9 billion years. Earth formed after even the sun formation. The hadith is talking about, even 6 days creation of hadith is talking about, we create the light, the earth, and then we create the light. That's also wrong. And we created plant before the light. So there is a lot of issues with Quranic verses. So this one is completely wrong, because the earth wasn't exist. There was no heaven and earth joined together and God split them. We know now there is a singularity, and the universe start by the Big Bang. This is what the scientist is talking about. Then nobody is claiming the earth and sky joined together, and then heaven joined together, and they were separated. So earth exists only for about 4.7 billion years, but the universe exists about 14 billion years, 14.6 billion years. So this is completely a false, and a Quranic statement is completely wrong. And the similar thing with the slavery. Why I bring the slavery? Because if this is really a book of God, there should be humanity in the Quran. The Quran should be abolished, the law of of slavery. That slavery never been abolished during the time of Islam, time when the Muhammad he was alive. He never said that, but he was just keep killing innocent peoples, and then raping their women on the same day, same time, and which is hilarious, which is horrific, that someone husband slaughtered, and uh, these people who the killer are raping their child, their daughters, and their wives on the same day. This is injustice, and this is not the God. God should be very pleased to the
30
human.
seconds.
God should be pleased to the human being, and God should be abolishing, and not to reveal or not to success the Muhammad sexual desires, but to uh, command to for the humanity. So thank you.
Okay. So we will give a chance to now give the turn to Muslim apologist.
Can I share my
Okay.
screen?
Yeah. Yeah. You can share your screen. Yeah. You can. Please.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen about the Big Bang. All right, this is from space.com. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
can you?
Okay. Should I reset his timer? Would you allow that, Bitter Truth?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. We will reset his timer. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading the definition of the Big Bang theory. All right. Okay, just the first paragraph. So the first paragraph says the Big Bang theory is the leading explanation for how the universe began. Simply put, it says that the universe as we know it started with an infinitely hot and dense single point that inflated and stretched, first at an unimaginable speed and then at a more measurable rate over the next 13.7 billion years to the still expanding cosmos that we know today. So it started from a singularity, right, that exploded and stretched. And in fact, if we read in, I forgot to actually mention in Surah Al-Dariyat, chapter 51, verse 47, the translation says, "We built the universe with great might, and we," here means Allah, are certainly expanding it, meaning the universe is expanding. So I don't see how does this contradict what we know about the universe. Okay, So I think my point is still valid that the Quran does indicate in some way that the Big Bang is valid, and that definitely the Big Bang is in the Quran, and that the universe is expanding. So now the question would be, how would the Prophet, if the Prophet really wrote the Quran, okay, would know about this? Something that we only in the 20th or the 21st century only know now. Okay, that's the first question. Okay, now regarding slavery, okay, I need to correct my opponent regarding this. Okay, slavery at that time, it wasn't that easy to just simply dismantle everything. You can't just simply say, okay, I'm going to ban slavery tomorrow. Okay, it doesn't work that way, because the economic structure is such that if you do that, it will the whole society, the whole economic structure will collapse. Okay, because everything was dependent upon the slavery system. But like I said, Islam had the goal of eventually diminishing and removing slavery. Okay, in fact, if you look at history in the Muslim world, okay, by the time and you compare it with Western history, okay, during the time of the civil war between uh, in the US, between the North and the South, they were fighting over whether the right to keep slaves should be allowed. In the Muslim world, the reduction of slaves was already happening. Okay, of course, the Ottoman Empire had kept a few slaves. Slavery was still around, but it was
30
already
seconds.
going, was already being reduced. Okay, and like I said, the treatment of slaves is such that you cannot compare the treatment of slaves in the Muslim world with that of the West. Okay, and with regards to the other points, I think I'll leave it to the next round. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, then we will move to Bitter Truth. And yeah, Bitter Truth, your time starts now. Yeah.
I think this is a good excuse that that slavery cannot be abolished, and I was remain during the World War One and Two, or bring up with the other things. This is a great excuse, but I still it's a remaining an error, and this is telling me this is a book of Muhammad, not book of Allah. If this is a book of God, then God should be abolished the law right away. The humanity should be the first when we talk about the other thing. He talks about the Surah Dariyat. Well, initially, the statement of Quran, it is talking about the earth and sky joined together, but I was talking about it's not true, because the earth was formed after 4 billion after 9 billion years. So there was no earth existence, and when the earth formed, it wasn't joined with some with sky or with heaven or anything. It's just a piece of stone which has a gravity, and that pulls the other fragments, and that's how the earth formed. So there is nothing like the earth was joined together with sky, and that's how it is separated. And on my next turn, if you want, I can show you through the NASA, where what the NASA talks about the Big Bang, and they never say that the earth was joined together with the heaven, and the God or something split that apart. So this is and the other thing, the God, he's swearing on fig, swearing on horse, swearing of like a man, like a human swears of a swear of God. I swear of this, I swear of that. Why God he needs to swear for what? I mean, he is a creator. He should not be swearing for something so you can believe on that. So this is another thing. And then the God, he is getting involved with Muhammad personal life, and telling him, telling his wife, hey, you have to obey Muhammad, otherwise he will be divorcing you, like a agent, or like a third party, to just telling them not to do that. And the other thing, when the guest waiting
30
for
seconds.
when the guests are waiting, and they came to the Muhammad house, the God, why the God, he needs to tell them, you have to come when the Muhammad invites you, when the food is ready, just eat and leave right away. This is all human words. This doesn't look like it's a God word. So it's basically a Muhammad book. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bitter Truth. We are going to give Muslim apologist his turn. Yeah, Muslim apologist, you can start now.
All right, thank you. So I think the issues were about slavery, oaths, I think Surah At-Tahrim, right? If I miss out anything, I'm sorry, right? Just let me know again what issue is, right? Okay. First of all, let's deal with slavery. Okay. You can say whatever you want about not abolishing slavery and all that, but the reality is that if you look into history, then yeah, slavery is not as easy as you would think it is to just simply abolish it in one day. Okay, the situation just does not permit it. Okay, so let's just leave it at that. We can just argue it some other time, right? Now let's deal with the oaths. Okay, as mentioned earlier. Okay, I've already mentioned this, I think, in my rebuttal. The Quran uses literary devices. So one of the literary device is called balaga. So one of them is by using oaths. Okay, so the Arabs at during this time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, before the Quran was revealed, they used to write poetry, composing, oh, by the plants, by the tree, by the this, by the that. Okay, so the Quran came and yeah, introduced something better, and it adopts the literary device of the Arabs. Okay, and yeah, so it is not unusual for the Quran to use the oaths. It's not an indication of whether God Almighty is subservient to these things or whatever. It's just you adopting the literary device, the balaga of the pagan Arabs, and basically challenging them to do something better. And the Quran, many times in the Quran, you can see there's two places, in fact, in the Quran where it says that if you think that this is not the book of God, then come and produce a surah like it in Arabic, with its balaga, with the Arabic grammar, with the poetry, and with all the beauty of the prose. Okay, and you can't just simply make up your own surah, because you need to conform to certain rules. And the Quran defies all these rules, and yet produces is a literary work which exceeds whatever it is that pagan Arabs at the time could produce. In fact, if you think about it, why was it that the pagan Arabs would rather go to war against the Muslims rather than just simply disproving the Quran by creating a surah like it? Okay, that's something to ponder upon. Okay, and then regarding Surah At-Tahrim, okay, this is a bit tricky to explain in
30
just
seconds.
seconds, right? So basically, is basically just something which Allah, which God Almighty was telling the Prophet not to do. And there are some instances where the Prophet's incidences are mentioned in the Quran, but not all of them. Most of them are in the Sirah. So only important events like that are actually included in the Quran, and not all of them are. Okay, only very significant things, right? So yeah, thank you very much. I only have like 10
Okay.
seconds left.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to Peter Truth. Peter Truth, your time is starting now. Okay.
Yeah, so actually, I would like to recite again the Quranic verse, Anbiya 30. Do the disbeliever not realize that the heaven and earth were once one mass? So I would like to know who was the disbeliever alive on that time. Even the life wasn't exist on that time, and the life started after about like 3 billion or 4 point sorry 3.6 billion years ago the single cell started, and then the the human. So who was there, or who God addressing to whom? I mean, if he happened to have a big bang, and the earth and sky joined together, which is completely false. And especially the Quranic verses are talking about, oh, Muhammad do this and that. And I'm just going to read the thing I was just talking about. The Muhammad, he was having a sex with his wife's slave, and then when she caught him, then God sent the verses right away. Hey, Muhammad, why you are prohibiting yourself from this? The God is make it halal for you. And then Muhammad talks to his wife, please do not tell to others, but she disclosed that. Then what happened, he sent it the verses, he got the verses from the Allah to protect his self. And the God is telling him, we allow you, well, we permitted you, premises you to have a sex with the slaves. And the Muhammad, he start doing the those things. So this is like completely looks like a Muhammad book, not a God book. If this is a God book, it shouldn't be fulfilling his sexual desires. He's not coming each and every time and helping him and sending the verses like why the guests are sitting in too long. So then the god, he needs to get involved in that. And Allah, and also if he caught to have a sex with his slaves, then also god, he needs to get
30
involved and
seconds.
sending the verses. This is hilarious to me. This is simply a mankind verses, and I can be telling you this is like a verses which is by the man, so anybody can make verses like that. It's easy, it's not difficult. The thing is, this is in Arabic, somebody can make in their language and say this is from the god. And that happens. I will be disclosing the, I will be talking that later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bitter Truth. And this is the second last turn. After this, both of you are going to get the last turn. So I'm going to start the timer now. The Muslim apologist, you can start.
All right. Right. Thank you. Yeah. So regarding the question about why the Quran says do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and earth were when were once joined together, and then my opponent was asking who were the unbelievers. I guess you could say the Quran was talking about the NASA scientists. Okay, so who was looking at the skies when the Big Bang was discovered? The NASA scientists. Were the NASA scientists who looked through the Hubble telescope unbelievers, disbelievers? Yes, they were. So I think I answered that question. Okay. Now to the second part regarding Surah At-Tahrim. Okay. I think the hadith that you cited, the so-called tafsir, okay, regarding this verse is wrong. Okay, it is a false hadith. It's a weak hadith. In fact, is rejected by all scholars of the Quran. The correct uh, the correct story behind why the verse was revealed. Okay, what is this? Okay, so the prophet was drinking from. He went to one of his wife's house, and he was drinking something given to him by his wife. And Aisha and Hafsa, both of them, the prophet's wives as well. They saw this and they got jealous, and they kind of made a pact among themselves. Okay, so that when they say, so that when the prophet approaches them, they will say something to repulse the prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So when the prophet came to Aisha, she said, "Okay, what is it that you are drinking? You are drinking something very smelly. I don't like it." And then the prophet went away. He went to Hafsa's house, and Hafsa said the same thing. So this is where the prophet said, "Okay, I will forbid myself from drinking anything from the wife that he gave him the drink." Okay, and this is why the verse was revealed. Okay, it has nothing whatsoever to do with sex. It has nothing whatsoever to do with personal gain. Okay, so please correct your story. All right. Okay, and I don't know whether there's anything else I need to cover. Okay, I think I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to move to Bitter Truth. Bitter Truth, your time is starting now. Wait, yeah,
All
it's
right.
starting now.
Okay, so it's not just a weekend hadith, but this is written in Tafsir ibn Kathir, Jalalain, and the other authentic books where they talk about the similar thing. The God is forbidding the Muhammad, he forbid him himself from the slavery, the slave girl, to have a sex with her, and the God. Comes and say, why do you forbidden yourself? God make it halal for you. That's not about the honey, that's not about those things. I know what you are talking about, but when you read in a sequence, it's the words itself is telling about who was that and why the God forbidden that. And the other thing, you were talking about again the Big Bang, and you say it's a NASA. Can you please share my screen? I just want to show him real quickly something. So this is from the NASA. The inflation, you can see the quantum fluctuation, and you can see, well, the NASA never claimed that the Earth and heaven joined together. The NASA even contradicting with the Quranic verses. NASA is talking about the life, the Big Bang happened from the singularity. There was no Earth, there was nothing. What, only the dance, the mixtures of gases and the other things. It's a high dense singularity, and somehow it is blown, and that's how the universe started. And the earth formed after 9 billion years. So this is the earth even wasn't exist. So if you are referring NASA, then you have to take the word from the NASA, not from the Quran is completely wrong in this way. And the other thing, I would love to have another debate with you on a slavery. I can prove that the Quranic verses were simply talking about the slavery, and Quranic verses were talking about those verses where Muhammad he prohibited himself, and then Allah he says you can have a sex with your slaves. I have bunch of things right now. I can't show you, but definitely I can come back with another time, and I can
30
show you
seconds.
that this is all about the slaves. And right now, uh, the remaining questions, uh, the remaining questions are on you. If you can just respond them all with the proper manner, that the Allah holds the earth, Allah holds the birds restrain it from the falling, even the sky restraining from the falling. Those are simply a man-made religion, or the Muhammad book. Thank you.
It's time. It's time. Okay, so this is the last rebuttal. After that, we are going into the question answer session. So your time starts now. The Muslim
All right.
apologist.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So anyway, I mean, I was just saying in tongue in cheek. I'm not sure whether it was NASA scientists or some other scientists who actually saw the Big Bang or came up with the theory of the Big Bang through the Hubble telescope. But regardless, they were definitely not Muslims. All right. So the Quran is still right. So regarding slavery, yes, I think this is something that should be discussed as a separate debate. I think it's not. I don't think this is relevant at all to the topic, because regardless whether Islam, allows for or doesn't allow for slavery, it still doesn't answer the question whether the Quran is the book of God or written by the Prophet. Okay, so I don't think it's really that relevant. Okay. And with regards to Surah At-Tahrim, yes, of course there are tafsir authors who say who cite this the second story, but that doesn't mean that the second story is true. Okay, we have other authentic narrations which say that it is nothing to do whatsoever with sex. Okay, and the so-called sex story behind Surah At-Tahrim has been disproved by scholars, and I reject it. So there's absolutely no point for you to cite it and uh, use it as evidence when I myself don't believe and don't accept that evidence, because that evidence to me is not evidence. Okay, it's false. Okay. And with regards to other metaphors of the Quran, like I mentioned, the Quran it's not a book of science, it's a book of science, SIGNS. Okay. So if you're expecting the Quran to talk about singularities, particles, atoms, gravity, then you're reading the wrong book, because the Quran is not a book of science. Okay. Therefore, Quran uses vocabulary or terminology or descriptions which are only known to the people at the time and can be understood by anyone throughout the ages. Okay. I mean, if you're going to talk about gravity, particles, singularity, atoms, gravity, planets, you're going to if you're going to use scientific terminology to people who were living in the 6th century, I don't think they will understand the Quran at all. Okay, so it absolutely doesn't make any sense for the Quran to use this terminology. That is why Quran says heaven and earth. Okay, so we understand heaven and earth to be matter, right? To be particles of that composes of heaven and the
30
earth,
seconds.
right? So this is the terminology that Quran uses. It doesn't mean that the Quran is unscientific. It doesn't mean that the Quran doesn't understand the universe as we know it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, guys. So this session is over. In this session, we were taking the rebuttals from both our participants. So in the next session, we are going to take questions from the audience. Most of you have already sent the questions, and we would have a total of almost 40 to 45 minutes for the questions, and we will give 2 minutes to the each participant to reply to a question, because I think it's unfair to have the answer from just one participant. So we are going to have an answer for each question from both the participants, that both get a fair chance to on the question and provide a perspective. So if the question is directed to one participant, I'll put the question first to that participant, and the other person would have the reply to that question in the second turn. So 2 minutes each for each participant to reply. So I'm going to bring the questions to the screen. So I think this question is for the Muslim apologist. It is from MG, and MG is saying that, uh, holy guest, can you manufacture Boeing using your holy book? If it is not scientific, how is it relevant? Metaphysical is the new buzzword. So, Muslim apologist, can you just quickly apply to this one?
I mean, I think it's kind of a strange question, because you're not going to I mean, if you are going to refer to a, I mean, if you want to cook something, you are going to refer to a cookbook, right? You're not going to go to a scientific book, right? So the Quran is meant for the soul. It's meant to be a spiritual book. It's meant to be a healing. It's a mercy for everyone. So yeah, you're not going to find anything in the Quran which talks about how to manufacture a plane, okay, or making a car. Then you're reading the wrong book, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Can we get the reply from Bitter Truth now?
Sure. You can't build the Boeing, or you can't have, you can't have any signs you can find, because on that time the sign wasn't established enough. And Muhammad, what he heard, he just put it into the Quran, and sometimes he's getting help from Abdullah, who was the first, his khatib, and that's why the Quran is completely a book of human. Can you please share my screen for a second so I can just show him?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, look
Okay.
at this. Muhammad, he prohibited himself from thing. He said it's a honey. Then he also can't find something to his wife. So this is basically, he was telling to his wife, please do not tell this to the other wives. But she disclosed that, and that's why the God involved, and giving them the warning: if you don't repent your heart, and if you don't get back to the Muhammad, then God will be giving him a better wives, and he will be divorcing you. Why it's all happened because of that, because he had a sex with the slave, and he was red-handed caught by his wife. And that's the reason the God he sent the words is to cover Muhammad. So this is basically a Muhammad book, not a book of God. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to move to the next question. The next question is from the secular Baloch. What does the Quran say? Is it okay to marry a 6-year-old girl? I think the question is directed at the Muslim apologist. So we are going to start the timer now. Yeah.
Okay, so actually, I just had a debate about this last week with this atheist called Tijam. Okay, I mean, what I'm going to say here is basically a repeat. All right, so basically, the Quran says, or what we Muslims believe, the whole body of the Sunnah, not just the Quran but also the Hadith, the Sunnah, is that Muslims are supposed to marry someone. I mean, a woman only reaches marriageable age when she reaches puberty. Okay, so usually that is around 9 years old. It can be as young as 9, or it can be as old as 18. Okay, so in the Western world, they fix the age. Okay, because to us Muslims, that is not a good measure of determining puberty. Okay, because a number is just a number. You can actually reach puberty if you are young, when you are younger. Okay, depending on your region, depending on your locality, depending on your climate. Okay, like for example, in my country, okay, in Malaysia, okay, in the past, there used to be women who marry as young as 13, 14. Okay, that is considered to be below the age of consent today, but back then it was normal. Okay, this is before the Second World War. Okay, so the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, okay, married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and consummated the marriage when she was 9. Okay, 9. Why did the Prophet? Then the question would be, why did the Prophet waited for 3 years before he consummated the marriage? The answer is because Aisha has not reached her puberty until she was 9 years old. Okay, so yeah, so there is no issue at all with the marriage of Aisha. Okay, and this happened 1,400 years ago. So you cannot use the standards of today and apply it to the past. Okay, that is called the fallacy of presentism. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a reply from Bitter Truth. Bitter Truth, your time starts now.
Hello, Ghalib bhai, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, I can.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. So, Muhammad, he married when Aisha was 6. When he proposed Aisha after Khadija, he married with Soda. And Soda, she was very old woman. On that time, nobody wants to marry with Muhammad. And then when Abu Bakr, he was just thinking about Abu Bakr may can leave the Islam like the other people. Listen the stories and then they leave Islam. So on that time, the his aunt, she proposed that why don't you just marry with Aisha. And then Muhammad says, go and talk to the Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr said, he's my brother, and he is my daughter is like his niece, so he can't marry with his niece. Then Muhammad sent another message that I can marry with her because I'm not her real uncle. So it's telling me that Muhammad, he was enforcing to marry with a child, 6 years old child. She was playing with the dolls and things. When he make a nikah, or engagement, he was doing tying. He was having a little slightly sex, and this is the Saudi scholars, even they are agree on that, with a child. And he was using his part, his special part, to have a sex. And when she reached to her age of 9, she hasn't reached to the puberty. It's a hadith Sahih al-Bukhari 6130. It is completely telling is that the Muhammad, he was looking the Aisha, and she was watching the game, Ethiopian game, and she hasn't reached her puberty. So there is no excuse that
It's time.
she reached the puberty, and then he married. So this is a lie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to take the next question, and it is from Neutrino. Neutrino has asked, how scientific is we made all living beings in pairs? So that really, how sign or sign, how is it a sign or it's a scientific claim? This is, I think, what he means to ask. So, Bitter Ruth, would you like to go to this first? Would you like to take
Yeah.
on?
So
Because there's no, or
not
more questions are going to the Muslim apologist first. So you take it first, and then we are going to get a reply from the Muslim apologist. Okay, you okay?
okay. When we study on the living organism, there is a many of living organism without the pair, but the Quran itself is talking about we send every single living organism with a pair, like bird with the bird, male and female bird, and animal with the animal, it's a pair. But now we know jellyfish, and there is a salamander, and there is a lot of animals. They live alone, and they do have a reproductive system. That's how they can have animals, so they can just breed the animals and breed this. So this is unscientific. In Quran is written, this is not only the one thing, but there is hundreds of things, like God is sending the angels are throwing stars, which is a meteors, towards to the jinn. And now we know that when the two asteroid collides, the fragment sometimes comes to the earth. This is unscientific. On that time, the Egyptians, they thought maybe it is coming from the God, and God is sending to punish somebody. So that this is what the Muhammad, he writes. So this is completely a illiterate person book, and it's telling me this is the Muhammad book. On that time also, there is another person who also made similar to the Quran. What he is saying, you cannot make even one verse, but he make a whole book, and he declare himself as a prophet. And Muhammad, he killed him. he ordered and tell the other people, his followers, to go and just kill him. And Muhammad, he had a sexual desire with Sophia. He killed Sophia's husband, Sophia's father, Sophia's every single tribe person, and he captured her land, and he also raped her. So there is a
It's
lot of
time.
things I can say. Thank you.
Okay, it's time. Okay, so the Muslim apologist, would you like to reply to this? Your time starts now.
Sure, sure. I think this is an indisputable scientific fact that everything is created in pairs. Even species which have no specific male or female distinction, even they have to have organs which uh, mimic male and female organs, and they reproduce in that way. Even in the smallest organisms, okay, even in single cell organisms, they will have to split itself, and it becomes a pair. So this is actually what the Quran alludes to. Okay, and with regard to the jinn and the comet and all this, I've already mentioned this is metaphysical. This is not meant to be scientific. Of course, we know that comets come from the sky. They are from dead stars. Dead stars that collapse and go lose their orbit and fall to Earth. Okay, this is a non-scientific fact. Okay, but like I said, the Quran is not meant to be a science book. It's not going to tell us about gravity, comets, particles, atoms. Okay, if you want to impose this understanding upon the Quran, then you're reading the wrong book. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are going to take the next question, and the next question is from individualist, and this question is like this: that why is Quranic language in the Makkan chapters meek and humble compared to the Medinan, the chapters from Medina? What happened in Medina that the language became so harsh? So, Muslim apologists, would you like to reply to this first?
Sure, sure. Be
Okay,
happy to.
okay,
So
okay. Go ahead, please.
so basically, during the first 10 years of the Prophet's mission in Mecca, the Muslims were, I would say, disorganized in a way. Okay, I mean there was no, they were not united politically. Okay, and also the of course the pagan Quraysh was stronger, and they had to operate in Mecca, right? So they had no city state, they have no state apparatus to prop up their own society, their own way of life. They had to live within the pagan society, and of course the pagan society were not welcoming to the Muslims, and the Muslims were oppressed, they were tortured, they were abused. Okay, some were even killed. Okay, and it was only because of the tribal protection given to some Muslims, like for example, the Prophet himself, he was protected by Banu Hashim, and Abu Bakr, he has his protection from his own tribe. So you have to understand that the society in Makkah at the time, there was no government, there was no central government, even for the pagans. They rule by tribal law, and they have this council where each tribe send their own representative, but none of them are leaders of one another. Okay, so that is why in that context the Quranic approach is to do basically to do da'wah, or to soften the message to them, to ease their hearts, to reach out to them, okay, in a diplomatic way. But then this changed after the pagan Quraysh tried to kill the Prophet. Okay, they tried to assassinate the Prophet, and the Prophet did his hijrah from Makkah to Medina. Okay, and when the Prophet arrived in Medina, he became the de facto leader of this state. Okay, of this new Muslim state. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, through revelation
So
and
it's
through
time. Hmm.
the Sahaba, he organized everything, and of course things change, and therefore, yeah, therefore,
Your time is actually, you are going over time.
okay, sorry, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, that's
Okay.
all.
Okay, Bitter Truth, would you like to reply to this one?
Yes, the
Okay.
thing is, individualist, when the Quranic verses came into the Makkah, on that time, Muhammad was alone himself, and he was claiming himself that he is a messenger of God. And when he become stronger and he become in majority, then he becomes psychic, and he was just ordering anyone whoever is against him or oppose him. Even though if someone just said this is not a book of Muhammad, this is not a book of God, book of Muhammad, he doesn't have a tolerance, and he was just ordering to kill, like what he did with the tribes, the Jew tribes, Banu Kaneka, Banu Kharesa, and the other tribes. He killed all of them and captured their lands and take their money off, and also they raped their children. So this is what Muhammad himself. It was just whenever he wants, he just say, "Oh, I got a jailbreak." Like he just when he went to ask the money to one of the Bani Kuneka person, and he was just say, "We're gonna have to discuss and come back to you when they come back." And they said, "We are ready to give you the money, but just give us some time." And when they go back, and then Muhammad, he says, "Oh, I gotta go." And then he says, "Oh, there was a person from this tribe. He was just throwing to the stone to kill me." And then the Sahaba Ali and Abu Bakr said, "We never see anybody." And he said, "No, it's the Jibril. He sent me the message." So it's not basically Jibril. Right now we know this type of stories are not even gonna be acceptable with any of the society on that time, because those people were illiterate, and that's the reason they were just bringing up and then they're accepting that. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to move to the next question. So MG has asked, uh, it's a question, dear guest, why is there no mention of dinosaurs in the in the holy book? They existed for so many millions on the face of earth. So I think he means that if Allah had created the dinosaurs, why did he forget to mention them in his holy book? So Muslim apologist, would you like to reply to this one?
Yeah, I can give a short reply because they are not important. We don't need to know about dinosaurs. Yeah.
So Bitter Truth, would you like to reply to this one?
Yes, because on that time Muhammad, he doesn't know about that there is a dinosaurs, and he thought there is a jinn. And this is what the Quran says, that we created jinns and sent it to the earth, but they were fighting each other. Then God sent the angels. Angels were limited the jinns, and then the Adam was created. And the hilarious thing, there is no Adam fossil, there is no evidence of Adam, but we know we came through the evolution. So this all Muhammad, he was illiterate, and he was just taking. And that's why I was saying that the Quran is just an illiterate person book, because Muhammad, he doesn't know the dinosaur were exist. But now we know it. But trust me, if they find the fossils, they will be talking about before the human there was a dinosaurs or big animals. And that they, because there was no discovery of dinosaurs fossils, that's the reason Muhammad is stick what he think. The other thing, I just forget to respond to him, that Abu Bakr was unhappy when he was marrying with Aisha, and that's the reason he say she is like his uncle. You know, if he was happy, he would be saying, "Oh, the Muhammad, the messenger of God, he wants to marry with my daughter. I don't have any problem. It should be fine for me." And he was unable to respond me the puberty. I gave him the hadith Sahih al Bukhari, where hadith number is 6130. It's talking about she hasn't even reached to the puberty. That's all. I mean, this is completely a book of Muhammad, not book of God. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to move to the next question. It is also from MG. Rasulullah, when he became powerful, why didn't he abolish slavery? But Ashoka the Great in the East did it 1,000 years before Prophet Muhammad. So, Muslim apologist, would you like to start with this one?
I think I've already talked about this. I already given the reasons why Islam didn't abolish slavery during the lifetime of the Prophet himself, and I've already mentioned that the Quran was already moving towards, or Islam itself as a whole was already moving towards the gradual abolishment of slavery. Okay, I wouldn't know about Ashoka the Great. Okay, I don't know whether he did abolish or did not abolish slavery. Okay, I don't know, and basically I don't care because all the other empires during the time, bigger empires than Asoka, I guess, like the Romans, the Persians, they were practicing slavery. So I don't see why, why this matters even. Okay, so yeah, just a quick response to Bitter Truth just now because he raised about the issue of Abu Bakr being surprised about the proposal by the Prophet. No, he did not reject the marriage. He was just asking why the Prophet would want to marry his daughter because he regarded the Prophet to be his blood brother in a way. And the Prophet said, no, I'm not your blood brother. We are only brothers by faith. We are not brothers by blood. So therefore, it is lawful for me to marry your daughter. Okay. It's not a rejection. If it were a rejection, then the Prophet would not have married Aisha at all. Okay. So please, again, get your facts right. Okay. This kind of mentality attacking the Prophet in this way comes from this Orientalist view that, the Prophet was a leecher, the Prophet was a sex maniac. This kind of viewpoint is Western creation, an evil Western creation based on lies and false allegations about my Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Bitter Truth, would you like to reply to this one?
Yes.
Okay, your
Muhammad,
time is starting now.
Muhammad, he loves little girls, slaves, and he loves even the Sahaba. Bani, the Sahabas, they love the similar way, and that's the reason it's never been abolished. Uh, like when they took the Safia home and Safia properties, what happened to the guy? One of the guy he proposed he asked Muhammad, hey Muhammad, can I get one of the slave? And he says, yeah, you can take one. And then he takes Sophia. And later on, the other person, they said, oh, you know what, she is so beautiful, I was thinking to take her, but because this guy he took her, so let's go and talk to Muhammad so he will take her from him. And then they go back, and then they talk to Muhammad. Hey Muhammad, why you give it to Dia? The Sahabi name was Dia. And then Muhammad, he proposed him two slave girls, and then he proposed him three slave girls, and then he proposed him two more old women, and then also two male young childs. And that's how he was agree and take those, and then he take back the Sophia and marry with her after rape her. So, and the Quranic verse is also telling it wasn't me, it was Allah who killed your husband, who killed your father and the other relatives. So Muhammad, he was barbaric mind, and he just want to kill whoever is against him and doesn't want to accept him as a messenger. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bitter Truth. We are going to move to the next question. Thank you, MG, for asking this question through the super chat. Okay, and Hakeem ji is asking, Muslim apologist, in Quran, we should follow Muhammad's life, but then he got exceptions to marry as many as he like. How could we follow his life? So the question, I'll rephrase it. If it's the sunnah to marry so many wives, how can we follow the sunnah? Because according to the Quran, Muhammad was allowed to have many wives, but today people cannot follow this. So, Muslim apologist, would you like to reply to this one? Hello,
I think the
hello.
fundamental, yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
can
okay.
you start a timer?
So your timer is
Yeah.
starting now. Okay.
All right. Okay. So I think the question is actually a bit wrong there. If you don't mind me passing it, I think we follow the example of the Prophet's life. If regards to the marriage, the Sunnah would be to marry more than one wife, obviously, and the Quran already set limits for Muslims as a whole to marry only four. Okay, and this is how we follow his Sunnah. Now, why the Prophet marry more than four? That is a different issue. Okay, the issue is simply because, okay, we regard, or Muslims generally regard the wives of the Prophet to be our mothers, okay, the mother of the believers. So therefore, for the prophet to simply, I mean, sorry, I mean, the prophet was given special permission to keep his wives, but he cannot divorce them. Okay, and he cannot marry any more wives after the verse revealing that Muslims can only marry four was revealed. Okay, so yes, but special permission was given, but there were also things which the prophet cannot do, such as divorcing his wives. But Muslims can divorce their wives. Okay, when if they marry four, and then we divorce our four wives, and then we marry another four, we are allowed to do this. But the prophet cannot do this. So that this is a give and take situation. Okay, you need to understand this. And with regards to the prophet's marriage as a whole, yes, I mean, the Orientalists, they make all kinds of accusations against the prophet regarding, the marriage of Aisha, the marriage of Safiya, regarding the marriage of Zainab, radiallahu anhum, anha, all of them. Okay, peace, blessings be upon all of them. But this kind of questions regarding the marriage for the prophet, I think this should be a separate issue altogether. I can't just answer this in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Better Truth, would you like to reply to this?
Yes, actually, Muhammad
Okay,
he
your timer
divorced.
starts now.
Yeah, Muhammad actually he divorced, as far as I know, three women, and he was also going to divorce Soda, his second wife. And the Sada says, you can give my turn to Aisha, and that's how he didn't divorce her. And because Sada says, please don't divorce me, keep me in your relation, and you can take my turn to with Aisha. And the Muhammad he was agree. And then the Quran sends the Allah sends the verses, oh, if she is agree to give his time, her time to the next one, there shouldn't be any obligation, and you can still keep her in your relation. That's the Quranic verses is talking about, which is hilarious. I mean, the Quran, again, the God needs to come down and send the verses for every single life of Muhammad. And Muhammad himself, he was unable to say anything to anyone. And the other thing, he was just talking about Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was unhappy, and he says, I don't want to give my daughter. Why he wants to marry? And when he married with his daughter, then Abu Bakr proposed Fatima to marry with Abu Bakr, but Muhammad said she is too young. Even the other Sahabi, which is Omar, he also proposed to marry with Fatima, and then Muhammad said no, she is too young, and then he married with Ali. Why she is too young to marry with her, and why Aisha is not too young to marry with this Muhammad? This is stupidness, and I think this is what I say. It is from the Muhammad. It's a book of Muhammad, not the book of Allah. Allah shouldn't be fulfilling his sexual desires. He should be giving us a proper messages,
Time,
giving us a proper direction, so we can be keeping it, and
time,
there
Better Truth.
shouldn't be any contradiction for over hundreds and hundred thousands of years. Thank you. Sorry for taking a little bit.
You went over time, Better Truth. Okay, so uh, I'll move to the next question, and here we have a question for Muslim apologist. Does sky exist? Provide measurable evidence. So you can start now,
Not
Muslim
sure how to
apologist.
answer this. I mean, you can just look up and you can see the sky. What else? What evidence do you need? I mean, unless if you are blind, right? So yeah, I'm not a scientist to give you facts and figures and to measure. I mean, if you want me to measure the PI and all that, I'm sorry, I'm not the right person to be asked this kind of questions. Okay.
Okay, so should we get a reply from you're done here now? Okay, Bitter Truth, would you like to reply to this one?
Yeah, well, actually, Muhammad, he saw the blue in a sky, and he thought this is something is very like an object, and it can fall or it can be this. And then he saw the stones like a meteors coming from the sky. So he thought, oh, sky is falling. So the God, he is holding the biggest chunk, so it won't fall. That's why Muhammad, he say the sky doesn't have a pillar, and the God hold him, similar to the god is holding the birds, god is holding the earth, so earth won't displace. So this is all illiterate person book, it is clearly telling me this is not from the God. If there is a creator, there should be a very good description, which cannot be contradicting with even the modern science, and the laws should be worth it for hundreds of hundreds, I would be saying like a billions of years, the our generation to generation. You can just keep those laws, and you can run your country, you can run your economy, you can have a humanity. You are not gonna kill the innocent people based upon their religion, or if they are non-believer, just gonna go and kill them. It is telling me the Muhammad, he doesn't have a tolerance. That's why he was ordering to kill the people, behead them up, and the sky is not able to fall, and this and that. These all illiterate person book, and that's why it is like that. So I would be saying this is a stupid God, or it's a Muhammad who just thinking the way he think, and put it into the Quran. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bitter Truth. We are going to take the next question. It is from Dr. Wolf. Dr. Wolf is saying, question to Bitter Truth. Although your whole presentation was about this, but what would it take for you to say that Quran is the book of Allah? What is that one single thing that can convince you? So, Bitter Truth, would you like to give an answer to this one?
Yes, if there is something really real, and it is under the microscope of the science, and the science is also confirming that, or the humanity, or the other things which is more convincible, uh, then I would be saying, yeah, it is from the God. But unfortunately, whenever I read Quran, and whenever I read the translation, because I don't know Arabic, I would be less convinced. And when I look at the universe, when I look at the cosmology, when I look at the medical, like embryology, or cell division, or other things, like evolution, I am less convinced why the God is he's talking about the Adam, the God he sent the Adam. There is no Adam and Eve exist, and this is a false story. And the Quran says we human for about 9,000 years, but now the modern science is talking about we are being about 200,000 years. So there is hundreds of bunch of errors. And when I look at the history and historian, what they talk about the religion, how it started, and why Muhammad was killing innocent people, it is less convincing me that this is really a real religion, or this is really from the God. So I hope I answered the question. And there is a hundreds of issue with the Quranic books and the hadiths, and even the historian, when I read it, I feel like I feel so sorry for those people who've been killed by Muhammad and his forces, and been raped their children, and their wives, and the other people. And none of the scholar is disclosing the history of Islam, because they know if they disclose, nobody is gonna be stick with religion of Islam. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Wolf's question is still very relevant to you, the Muslim apologist. So,
Can I
is there
respond to that?
anything that would convince you that Quran is not the book of Allah?
Okay, I need to sorry, I need to open my camera because yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to say something on this. So yeah, I have several books here. Okay, I'm going to share the title with the audience. Okay, so there's this,
Okay.
the Quran, an Internal Challenge by Muhammad Abdul Dras,
Uh-huh.
and there's also the Sciences of the Quran. It tells you about the history of the Quran, its compilation, etc. And there's also this, okay, Azami, okay, the history of the Quranic text from revelation
Mhm.
to compilation. You should, I think, anyone who wants to understand the Quran, they should actually study it instead of making baseless accusations against it. Okay, it's interesting that my opponent keeps saying illiterate person writing a book, illiterate person writing a book, because if an don't you find it strange that an illiterate person, a person who cannot read and write, has written a book? Don't you see the contradiction there, the irony there, in claiming that someone who's illiterate could actually write a book that has convinced 1.6 billion people around the world? And if you look at Islamic history, what began as a small movement in the city of Mecca, it rose up to become a great empire from this one person, this illiterate man. So this itself is also a testament to the divine origins of the Quran. And this is something which I think has not been addressed actually by my opponent. He keeps harping on the metaphorical, the language, the metaphysical aspects of the Quran, but he does not actually address other parts which indicate, especially the phrase "an illiterate man writing a book." That to me is the strongest evidence that the Quran is definitely from God. Thank you.
But you did not reply to the question that is there something that would convince you if some evidence would if there would be some evidence that would convince you that Quran is not the book of Allah.
The answer
So
is no.
okay,
Yeah, the answer is no.
okay, there's nothing. So you're saying that it's totally fixed. Okay, so we are
Yeah.
going to move to the next question. So here the question is, we'll take. There are several questions I'll take, and we are very short on time now, so I would have to choose between them now. So Pak ex Muslim TV is saying, Galib Kumal, my question and challenge for Muslim apologist: prove the story of Ababil. Where are those elephants, and where are the stones that penetrated Earth down to hell? Ababil missiles. So, would you like to reply to this one?
Yeah, sure. Actually I wanted to share. I think I need to share something if you don't mind me sharing the
Yeah,
screen.
sure. You're sure. Share, share. Yes.
This is from a website called Islamic Awareness. Okay, they have talked about this before. So my interest here, the reason why I'm sharing this is because
The
they
text is actually very small. If you can increase the text
yeah,
size, that would
I'll
be
try
helpful.
to, I'll try to make it bigger. Is this big enough?
I think this is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is actually talking about this article is actually about the claim of borrowing from the Quran, but there is this part where the article talks about Abraha, about the incident of the year of the elephant. So he quotes here Ibn Ishaq, the Abraha built the Kunais, blah blah blah. The reason why Abraha invaded Mecca, okay, and then yeah, all this, okay, and then there's this non-Muslim source. Okay, we need to keep this is the most important part of it. Unfortunately, this link is not working. That is why I need to share this article. So let me read this. Muller says Southern Arabia became an Abyssinian dominant first under the local Christian vessel, then under the former Abyssinian general Abraha. In 542, an inscription dated 547 reporting of a campaign against the rebellious Mad in central Arabia states that Abraha had already styled himself king. The most recently dated inscription of the Himarite era is from the AD 554. It virtually marks the end of the well-documented ancient Southern Arabian epoch and heralds the decline of the Sabo-Himarite Empire. Towards the end of his reign, Abraha launched yet another military campaign against the north. Now, north here means Mecca, okay, which has been preserved in the memory of the Arabs because of the elephants accompanying it. Abraha failed to take Mecca as he had intended, and the operation had to be abandoned. So this is actually recorded in history. Okay, it doesn't give any reason why there's no mention why did Abraham fail in capturing Mecca even though he has surrendered. Now that's the interesting question, isn't it? So then you can read
Okay.
Bernard
You are
Lewis.
going a little bit over time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, so I'll just
Okay.
suggest anyone who wants to know about it, you can just read this article, right? Yeah. So that's all.
Okay. So, Bitter Truth, your turn now.
Yeah, can you please share my screen? The first thing I would like to talk about, the Makkah, the Kaaba was destroyed many times, and it's been, rebuilt many times. It's not only one time, but it has been many times. Why the God never sent those ababil on each and every time? The other thing, there was an incident in just in a few years back. The crane collapsed, and about 107 people died, including childrens. And they were praying for to the God, and the God was unable to even save them. This is really a big question to Muslim apologists. If you can explain me why the God, he was unable to defend his haram, his Kaaba, and also he was unable to protect their people, falling the crane falls, and then 107 people died, including little childrens. And you can see all of these pictures. This is ridiculous if you still believe in that type of religion. The holy mosque, or the grand mosque, even been destroyed, been tear down by this crane, and then they rebuilt everything. So this is not not something which is, you think that big elephants come, and then Abraha, and you think in this way. If this is really a true, then each and every time there should be God sending the forces and destroy the enemies. It's never happened. Even the Sahabas, when they were fighting each other, sometimes they destroyed, and it's been destroyed by the flood as well, and God never able to protect his own. It's besides only one incident you are talking about, which has no
You're going over time.
historical background. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. That's, I think we are at 1 hour and 45 minutes now. So we're going to take one more question. There were some questions which were not related. I would read them out in the end as just comments because they were going on some other tangent. So that's why. So MG asked, uh, 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 Muslim apologist if he would like to answer that Zulkarnain was Alexander the Great or he was someone else. I think this is
No,
a very small question.
can I
Yeah,
answer this?
yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, yeah. So no, Zulkarnain was not Alexander the Great. Okay, and I have reasons to believe that it was actually Cyrus of Persia. Okay, I actually have an article on this, but I have not published it. And if it's published, then yeah, I wouldn't mind sharing it. But the evidence that we have right now shows that Zulkarnain was not Alexander the Great. If you want to look further into this, I would suggest that you read Maududi's Tafsir. Okay, I think he actually commented on this a lot. He gave a lot of evidence why he thinks that Zulkarnain was not Alexander the Great, and he gives indication that Zulkarnain could be, or maybe could be, Cyrus of Persia. Okay, of course, we have to keep in mind that this is just, when it comes to tafsir, you have to keep in mind this is just speculation, because based on what we already know, we base it on what we know, because the Quran doesn't name this individual Zulkarnain directly. So if we are wrong, then it is our mistake. It's not the Quran's mistake. Okay. So, but basically, I have strong reasons to believe that until proven otherwise, that Zulkarnain is Cyrus of Persia.
Okay, Bitter Truth, would you like to reply to this one?
And yeah, I think Zulkarnain. What I know is Zulkarnain is um, is just a fake. It's not real. I don't think it's a true, but it's just a fake Alexander the Great, ac- according to a romance of Alexander the Great by the pseudo. So uh, the other thing, just wanna talk. I really was surprised that actually he came, and I would like to thank to him, but he was unable to reply any of single question. I would be also asking him if he can respond it in a proper manner, whatever the question comes. And the other thing, Zulkarnain, what I understand, it's Arabic meaning Zulkarnain. That means two horns. The guy has a two horns, double horn guy. So I don't know a lot about that, but this is what I've heard. So this is the whole Quran is basically metaphor. Whatever the Muhammad he thought, he put it into the Quran, and sometimes the Katibe, whoever writes the Quranic verses, sometimes they edit some stuff, and then Muhammad says, yes, yes, this is how the Quranic verse comes from the God, and they put it, and that's why the Abdullah, I think his name was Abdullah, I forget the name, who says that, well, whatever I'm telling him to add on to the Quran, he says, yeah, this is coming from the God. He went to the Makkah, and he was disclosing this to everybody. And Muhammad, when Muhammad he heard that this guy is disclosing these things, he ordered to kill him. So he because he knows that he knows his things which he is unable to defend. Thank you.
Okay, so the question answer session is now done. And there are a few questions that I don't think so that you guys are going to take 2 minutes to answer. And one question is there that I want Muslim apologists to just reply to that. And I'm not going to get a reply from Bitter Truth because that's a personal question towards the Muslim apologist. So MG is asking, please ask whether he watched Zakir Naik on cable TV. So, Muslim apologist, it's just a yes or no question if you want to
No,
reply to
no,
this.
no. I've never watched Dr.
You
Zakir on
okay? You
cable TV.
never watched that.
We
Okay,
don't
thank
have
you,
like
MG.
cable.
Okay, okay. So that's it. So now we are going to this closing remarks section. So Muslim apologist, we would like you to go first because at the beginning, Bitter Truth went first. So uh, I'll give you 5 minutes for that. So I'll start two timers first, the 3 minute and then the 2 minute one. So it's
Okay,
up to you what you
okay.
want to say.
I probably would take less time than that. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I think on the whole, yeah, it has been a good discussion, I guess. But I think the discussion was sidetracked by other issues, okay, such as slavery, the marriage of the Prophet to Aisha, the Prophet's certain marriages to, like Safia, Sauda, Zainab, maybe Rodeo Anha. So I don't think these issues are relevant to the actual topic, which is basically is the Quran, the book of God, or the book of Muhammad. Okay, so these issues concerning the Prophet's personal life, this is a separate issue altogether, and I'll be most happy to debate on that, right? With regards to slavery, as I mentioned, this is an institution. There's no right or wrong in this. Okay, the Islam has okay. Islam can exist in a world where there's slavery, and it can exist in a world where there's no slavery, and this is the beauty of Islam. Okay, and this is something which actually points to its divine origin because Islam can adapt in both situations. Okay, it's not something which other religions can do. Okay, and yeah, with regards to the metaphorical, the metaphysical, the imagery that the Quran gives, yeah, these are all part of the Arabic language. Yeah, it's balaga. Okay, as I've said many times, you know, the Quran is not a book of science; it's a book of science. Yeah, you need to look past the language that the Quran uses. Don't simply look at it as a book of science and try to understand the Quran with an open mind and an open heart. I believe that if anyone does this, then they can find the truth, right? And with regards to the laws of Islam and so on, yeah, these are all issues which are uh, doesn't really relate to the topic, and yeah, we can have a separate debate on that, right? So yeah, I think I hope I've covered it all. I hope I may have missed out. If I did miss out, then yeah, maybe you can propose a separate debate for those issues that I missed out, because I can't cover everything in 2 minutes. Okay, yeah, and there's so many side issues here which I want to address, but I feel like I need to stick to the topic, which is basically, is Quran the book of God? I say yes, based on my opening statement, based on the evidence I already gave, with regards to its literary miracle, with regards to its ethics, with regards to its history. I don't think that this is a book that can be written by an illiterate man that can conquer the world. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to move to Bitter Truth. Bitter Truth, you want to start now?
Share my screen, can you please?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And do I have 5 minutes or 3 minutes?
You
Can
have
you?
5 minutes.
Oh, it's showing
First,
three
I
minutes.
will run this 3 minute timer and then the 2 minute timer.
Okay, can you please reset? Because I was just asking if it is possible.
If the Muslim apologist allows it, I'll reset
Yes,
it.
Muslim apologist,
Yeah,
can you
yeah,
please?
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. The reason I bring up those things because to understand the Quran, if the Quran is really a book of God, there is a scientific errors like the God he holds the birds. We know it's air. That's how the birds can fly. Even the plane can fly if there is air. If there is an air gap, then the plane starts falling. And sometimes when we are flying, because I'm a frequent flyer, so there's sometimes it happens, and then we feel it. Oh, it's like a plunging, or it's like falling. Uh, Similar thing, the meteors is coming from the when two asteroid collides, the fragments coming. It's not the jinn. This is also ancient time stories. And then the god, he needs to swear of things like a human, by the time, by the Lord, by Allah, by Lord, by Quran, by drive, by scattering, and the other thing like a by horse even. This is like hilarious to me. It's our human nature. When we want someone to believe it, we say, I swear of God, I swear of this. It's not, God doesn't need to swear. God just need to send the order, and that's it. And then I talk about the Muhammad personal life. Why God he needs to get involved in his personal life? He's supposed to, if the Islam is for the humanity, for the humans, they shouldn't be private things, like a personal thing. The God is coming towards to his wives, and God is coming uh, and giving messages for the guest, and God is coming and telling to the wives, Muhammad can divorce you. It's someone is coming and say, hey, Muhammad can divorce you and he's gonna get a better wives. This is a human talks. This is not a God word. God is not gonna use this type of stupid words and telling this is my word. So this is just a common sense, even though if you just use your common sense. And when I talk about the soda, because you says the messenger of God never divorce or never this and that, and I bring up soda because he was going to divorce her, and then the God is saying the words is, when the soda was agree on something, okay, you can give my turn to Aisha. And why the God he needs to say that, oh, it is okay for you guys if she is okay with you and she is willing to give her day and this and that. This is all the human words which we found in Quran. That's why I said this book is not a good book of God, but this is a book of Muhammad. The other thing, when somebody asked the question about the Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, according to romance of Alexander the Great by the pseudo Calistines. Pseudo Calistines. So this is, another joke that he put something is even not real in Quran. He think the sky is there is a sky, and sky can fall, and God is restraining sky. This is a human thinking. On that time, the people, they think in this way, oh, sky can fall, so the God, there is no pillar, so the God is restraining. So there is a bunch of things. It is telling me it's a human mind, human brain, how he thinks or how he heard from other peoples. He put it on like embryology. Aristotle, he says the sperm turns into the blood clot, and blood clot turns into the bones, into the flesh, and flesh turns into the bone. And that's what the embryology stages shows into the Quran. And this is completely wrong. Now we know sperm goes through the vagina, through the uterus, and it penetrate the pelisoda,
30 seconds.
and then that's how egg fertilize, and that egg goes to the uterine wall. So anyhow, it was my pleasure to talk to you, and I really appreciate that at least you came. There is a lot of Muslim apologists. I don't understand why they don't want to debate with Ghalib Kamal, but thank you very much for Ghalib Bhai, and thank you very much for Muslim apologists. And I was fully disappointed. You never able to give me any correct answer where I can be satisfied from you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so this is it. And I'd like to thank both the participants. You behaved very well, because usually, whenever there are debates, people misbehave, people don't behave in a proper way. And if both of you, I welcome you both anytime again. Would you like to debate on my platform, I would be willing to provide you my platform. Twitter Tooth has been there before, and the Muslim Apologist. If you want to debate with anyone, because I am an atheist, and if you want to debate with a Christian about Christianity, between Christianity and Islam, and you want to take the debate, bring the debate to my channel, you can do that. If you want to debate with an atheist, I would be glad to moderate that debate on my channel if you would ever feel like that. And if there is anyone else who wants to organize a debate on my channel, you can tell me the topic that participants can talk to me, and I would be glad to host people who want to take the discourse of this discussion forward. So, thank you to all of you who were watching, and thank you to both of the participants. It was a good thing, and it was a very civilized debate, and I really look forward to more engagements like these. So, guys, this is we are going to sign out. It's 2 hours, and this was the time that we had decided to conduct this debate for. I'll thank both the participants once again, and I'll thank all the viewers who watched this debate. We will see you again some other time with some other debate or some other topic on the channel. Thank you very much.